went to my town, I followed my business plan. I gave every fiend in my town a half-gram sample of coke. I went and seen everybody. I made a whole list while I was locked up of every person I knew that got high in my town. And when I came home in January, I got one of my other friends to drive me around, and I literally just gave everybody a sample and my cell phone number.
Wow. And
just said, you don't gotta go to the block, you can just see me privately. Wow. And so I give everybody a half-gram sample, the best product I could find. And I went in less than a few months, took my town over. I was back in the game.
Meanwhile, you're on parole.
While on parole.
While on parole, you had the audacity to still go out there, recoup some old customers, give them samples, still very business savvy all at the same time. But you had somebody step in, you had a moment of realization. You came to your senses, so to speak, and you was like, no, I can't do this. Maybe it finally hit you that this is not the route. You decide, I'm gonna change my life. Can you talk about the people that stepped in the midst of parole that helped you make that decision to change for the better?
Yeah, so I went down that path for a while, ended up getting incarcerated again in 2000 in New Jersey for a secret indictment, and then I bailed out from that, and then went back on the road to Maryland and caught a drug trafficking charge in Maryland while on bail in New Jersey and while on parole in New York. And it was still hustling, and would end up serving 18 months from that sentence, and that's another story that we can dive down another day.
Yeah.
So when I came home from prison that time on a program called ISP, they mandated us to have a curfew, journal entries, a budget, breathalyzer test, urine test, and also a men's mentorship meeting on Saturdays.
Met Jay probably in 2000, I think it was the early 2000s. I was pastoring a church in Plainfield, New Jersey, ran a group called ISP. Jay was at that time probably was in jail, spending some time there, and we had a program that would allow those prisoners to come out and do something almost like a halfway house. You know, we did groups, we talked about everything. What is your plans when you totally get out? And for one of my classes, he wound up being one of the guys that came through. And so from that time on, we just sat and talked. I guess I had maybe at that time 12 guys that was in the class. And he really, something about him just stood out to me. So in that time, I would speak to him from time to time and say, hey, is there anything else you want to do other than sell drugs?
I hated parole so much that I decided I was going to go back to prison to finish my time so I would have no parole.
Yeah.
So that was my bright idea. I brought to the men's group and said, guys, good seeing you guys, but I'm about to go back to jail, finish my time, and come home with no papers.
It was like, you know, that's going to get you right back here, because most of the guys in there, you had, I would say 70% of the guys was all, when I get back out, I'm going to get my hustle back. I'm going to get my hustle back. And that would just demoralize me, because I'm like, you're only going to get back in the same place. And then for him to actually seem smarter, really seem polished, like he really shouldn't be doing this, I just pulled him to the side and says, don't go back down this road. What else could you do? Or what is it would stop you from selling drugs? And he said if he could make the money that he makes doing it. I said one of the biggest things in this world is real estate.
My husband had told me about him prior to him actually coming into the office to interview and start to work. So I can just remember, it's been a while, but I can remember him being really bright and always asking questions, asking questions in real estate, asking questions in mortgages. And he closed, some mortgage loans with us at the office. And then he said one day, he was like, I'm gonna get my real estate license. So I'm like, oh, great, because that's even better. Now you're on the other side.
I had that early run in my mid to late 20s in real estate, did well, ended up blowing all that success and all that money through my own financial responsibility, through my bad habits, and the market crashing, but me not even being positioned to even catch the market crash because my mind was so focused on parties and clubs and things and liabilities and having fun.
So the way I interpreted Jay's lifestyle at that age, because now I'm older than he was when he took me under the wing, it it wasn't abnormal because he was living a life that we all were seeing on TV, that we all were seeing in rap songs. So it wasn't weird. My interpretation was just like, wow, I can't wait to be this rich and this cool while young. Like, that was what it was. And it still plays into my life now. Like, me being 30 years old, it's like, man, I didn't get to be as crazy as Jay was when he was 26. I don't have a desire to be, but I do want to enjoy life while I'm young, because I watched someone very closely enjoy life when he was young. I remember he had like a Rockaware sponsorship back in like 2008.
My name is Jay-Morrison, also known as Mr. Real Estate. I'm from Somerville, New Jersey. I'm 27 years old.
I will not lose.
My childhood pretty much was financially rough.
So he was, through the Rockaware sponsorship, he was on BET. I can't remember if they were connected, but I just remember this was all like a year. He was on BET at a Rockaware sponsorship. And this ain't like Instagram days where like you get a paid partnership to wear something and post it. No, like they were actually sending large amounts of Rockaware to the house. And he was on billboards in different cities and different countries on behalf of Rockaware.
You couldn't keep him still though, that's the main part. Like, he left that, and the next time we was here and there was Jay, he's doing something on TV with real estate. And I was like, he's doing something on TV.
Jay Morrison is here with the 5 must-ask questions before you make that offer. Jay, good to see you again. Yes, you too. All right, take that house in Alpine, put it anywhere else in New Jersey. It's not 10.7 billion anymore.
All right, guys, we're here. What could be your home? My man.
All right.
My man, Bobby Yan.
Broker to the stars, Jay Morrison.
Plenty of spaces I mentioned.
That's right, you haven't been wrong yet.
I had that early run in my mid to late 20s in real estate, did well, ended up blowing all that success and all that money through my own financial responsibility, through my bad habits, and the market crashing, but me not even being positioned to even catch the market crash, because my mind was so focused on parties and clubs and things and liabilities and having fun, right?
Yeah.
And blowing the money. I wasn't focused on, what was happening next in the business and the market. And so after going through a very extreme, humbling period, almost a depression, like my cars were repoed, like house in foreclosure, like going through a real tough period, I was trying to find my way back. So I had all these different hustles. I was like doing party promotion and like promoting at a strip club, and I had like a record label, and I was like trying everything. And real estate, it kind of broke my heart. Like, I thought real estate was like my savior. And when the market crashed, and I also was getting scrutiny around real estate, and people still thought I was selling drugs at that time. Like, cause like I lived like a dope boy. All my money was legal. But if you looked at me, it was like, he sell drugs, right? It was like, that was...
Your tendencies were still...
My tendencies, my attire, how I dressed, how I talked. I wasn't really trying to like totally refine myself and mature as a businessman, a young professional. It was like I made a bunch of money, and I was maneuvering and acting as a young professional in the beginning. But when I started making like crazy money, I lost my mind, right? And so I reverted back to kind of like my old ways, not in hustle or what I sold, but in my behavior and like my interactions.
Swear to God, I'm just one nigga. Disrespecting 2 billion. You know my bitch is bad.
It's more like you say, stop, you're going too far. And if you care about somebody, you wind up doing that because you're saying, I'm watching you do the same thing over and over again. And so with Jay, love him to death, but there's times that for people, I'm a people person, I'm not saying that he isn't, because I think that's his overall goal, but to actually feel a person and say, oh, I just said something, and the whole body language changed.
Having a rebirth in my early 30s, I got back into real estate through the advice of some mentors, and Sotheby's International Realty was one of those interviews. I never heard of this firm, but they had all the big mansions and estates in Alpine were mostly their listings. And so I interviewed with them. I told them my whole story. And Mary, one of the managers of the office, she fell in love with me and was like, hey, you're clean cut, you speak well, like you're transparent. I love to introduce you to the owner, you know, and so I started working for Sotheby's.
You made a video that we could say probably, if we're being honest, went viral. Your famous wake up video.
Wake up! The message I got for us is, like, I want all of us to win. Like, we all black people, right? We on the same team.
When I was doing my Hip Hop to Homeowners program in high schools, like in North New Jersey, Elizabeth, New Jersey, inner city schools, but I also was listing and touring and, you know, marketing multi-million-dollar estates. And it did something to me. And just being at Sotheby's and seeing all the wealthy realtors and stay-at-home moms and just that whole atmosphere. Mind you, I was in the richest town in all of America, right? And so I'm seeing extreme wealth and abundance, 12-car garages. I mean, just the taxes on a property, $250,000 a year in property taxes.
Wow.
Right? I'm seeing like super wealth, but then I'm going to inner city schools and seeing like extreme poverty, like kids with holes in their sneakers, like, you know, like dingy shirts and like just, you know, just despair, distress.
Right.
And so I always would like question myself, like, yo, why is it that they're so wealthy and that we're so poor? And so that was just on my heart, like seeing that me, Maine from the hood, had made it to Sotheby's, to NBC, and had broken into the corner office or the boardroom or whatever you want to call it. I just wanted to scream to our culture, wake up, we can do more than just be gangster. We can do more than just be ghetto or be ratchet. Like, we literally can have all of this. And so the wake up video was about like, hey guys, you know, community culture, like we gotta get our shit together and we gotta do better. And the owner of Sotheby's saw that video and he literally in the email said, I saw a 9-minute video of you being a spokesman for the black community. He said, although you're comfortable with that, I'm not. And they're essentially gonna ask you to resign. Them kind of pushing me out really pushed me to create my own platforms, my own brand, my own companies, and to take ownership of my purpose.
Justice for all people! 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 Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
So during the Baltimore uprising, I didn't just come to Baltimore and just leave. I actually stayed for like several weeks after the uprising had died down, all the cameras went away, and I was building with local community members, right? Gangbangers, like Bloods and Crips, and like Pastor Jamal Bryan and others, right? And I was just building with local leaders. But during a panel that we went to that BET hosted, Tamika Mallory was there, Mark Lamont Hill, my son, the general was there, and other activists. During the panel, they bust up some Bloods and Crips from Baltimore, community members, and they were asking, well, what's the solutions for our community? And one of the community members said, we need to build a Black Wall Street, yo. It sparked in me, it's cool in our community to say we want to build a Black Wall Street or do these things, but what does it look like, right? How do you bring it to life? And so it made me put maybe reverse engineer from my kind of business acumen hat on, like, okay, if we're going to practice Black Wall Street, one, that was a community that practiced group economics. It was a community that was self-sustaining. It was a community that practiced Black love. There was a high level of dignity and decency in the community. So I want to mix in economics also with social upliftment and social advancement. That's what I thought about. I thought about, okay, what have been the issues with anyone who tries to raise money? Like, what transparency has been an issue. What are you doing with the money? Visibility, as well as it being kind of sophisticated, and also there being equity. Like, not just being a GoFundMe or collection plate, but like where people have actual ownership and equity. Yeah. And so I had looked into it years prior, but there was no legislation that allowed this for everyday investors, or what's called non-accredited investors. Only the wealthy, or those who made $250,000 a year or more, or had a net worth of $2 million or more, could invest in these funds. So President Obama had just passed the Jobs Act, which opened up crowdfunding, equity funding for non-accredited investors, those who made less than $250,000 a year or had a net worth less than $2 million. And so I leveraged that Jobs Act, the Trojan horse I call it, that President Obama gave us and passed, to then found the Tulsa Real Estate Fund with some partners, and then to be able to launch this first ever in our generation group economics vehicle to be able to provide us to all participate in ownership together to essentially do the functions, live the dream of Black Wall Street, right? organizing 15,000 partners on a common goal and mission, raising over $11.3 million. And, you know, we all came together for this common cause. And so my wife and I, as we talked about practicing the principles of Black Wall Street, we felt that, you know, where we're housed here in Atlanta, we needed a hub to be able to empower the community, offer resources, give an incubator and a leasing space for small businesses to be able to house their businesses and really bring that Black Wall Street spirit to life through this 30,000 square foot Class A office space, this 2.6 acre campus called the Legacy Center, where we can help entrepreneurs grow their businesses, grow their legacies, nurture their ideas, and where we can all collaborate together and sow seeds back into the community that's around us with some of our social programs, et cetera.
How does it make you feel to, on one hand, be a statistic, and then on the other hand, to be a history maker?
The fiduciary in me, the responsible party, and the visionary and leader in me also recognizes, even within that blessing, the burden, and that there's always still work to do. And I have a lot of people that I'm responsible to and responsible for. To do something I believe our ancestors would be proud of, you know, it is subtly, under all the burden and responsibility, a good feeling.
With the success that you've accumulated, you've learned that you've done so many things for the Black community, yet there are some people who have so much repair still needed that they don't agree with what you do, and they have made it their mission to discredit what you've accomplished. How do you feel about that?